You're watching the LegacyMaker Sports Network.
Daniels running down the middle of the field. Makes a man miss. It is finally dragged down at the 11.
98 yards rushing last year per game. There's a deep throw. Wide open receiver. Paysar with the North Carolina touchdown. The board on third down. Open. Harrison. Marvin Harrison Jr. No chance. Touchdown Ohio State.
With 1 second to go. Thorne lost one out. It is intercepted. Terry Donald will end it for the Tide, maybe with a touchdown.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Tyrone Montgomery Jr. of the LegacyMaker Sports Network, and welcome to the 7th annual LegacyMaker Sports Network NFL First Round Mock Draft. Here in today's show, I'll have 4 gentlemen stepping into GM roles to select the future stars of the NFL. Robb Johnson, Lamonte Thomas, Jay Quimby, and James Brown will be making the selections in this year's mock draft. A little later in the show, draft analyst Russ Taliaferro of the LegacyMaker Sports Network and Larry Patterson of the Gametime Sports Network will stop by to give their thoughts on our mock draft. We would also like to thank the Butler Boys Entertainment and Event Center for letting us hold our annual NFL draft at this beautiful facility. Well, let's not prolong it any further, ladies and gentlemen. The LegacyMaker Sports Network NFL First Round Mock Draft starts now. The first team on the clock is the Chicago Bears. James, who will be selected by the Chicago Bears?
With the number 1 pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears select Caleb Williams, quarterback from USC. Pretty simple, folks. The Bears need a quarterback of the future here. Williams is the number 1 quarterback in this year's class. They take him at number 1 to see where their franchise will be headed next.
There you have it. The Chicago Bears get their quarterback of the future. Now we're headed to Washington with that number 2 overall pick. Jay, who will the Commanders be taking?
I have them going with Jaden Daniels, LSU quarterback. I really feel with Kingsbury being the OC, he'll fit into this offense seamlessly. And they should be better than they've been since 2011.
Fingers crossed there, Jay. Can Jaden Daniels be the commander Washington needs? We shall see. Now on the clock with the 3rd pick, we're going to New England with the Patriots. Lamonte Thomas, who are the Patriots taking?
With the 3rd pick of the NFL Draft, the New England Patriots will select Drake May, quarterback UNC. I do feel like, obviously, they need their quarterback of the future. They're trying to fill those big holes that Tom Brady left. With Drake May, he can be the leverage quarterback they need, and he's also able to navigate the pocket very well.
Very true. That's 3 straight quarterbacks selected within this mock draft, ladies and gentlemen. Could there be a 4th? Time will tell. Well, the Cardinals are on the clock, and Robb Johnson has the selection.
For me, I believe it's Marvin Harrison Jr. out of Ohio State University. I think that he's the best wide receiver in this class out of a very good group of wide receivers. He put up good numbers, especially last year with a decent, it's a not great quarterback, but I think coming to the NFL, him and Kyler Murray can make magic.
Our first wide receiver is off the board, Marvin Harrison Jr., son of Hall of Famer Marvin Harrison Sr. is a Cardinal. Kyler Murray has a new number 1 wide receiver. And now we're going to move over 1 state. The Chargers are on the clock. James, you have our pick.
With the 5th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the LA Chargers select Malik Neighbors, wide receiver from LSU. It's pretty simple, folks. Chargers need to replace some wide receivers. They lost Mike Williams this offseason. They lost Keenan Allen, trading him to Chicago. Justin Herbert's going to need some weapons, some guys on the other side to throw to. And for me, Neighbors is the number one guy in this class to get the job done.
The Chargers grabbed their Keenan Allen replacement with Malik Neighbors from LSU. Back to the East Coast. The Giants are on the clock. Jay, do you have to pick?
Offensively, but I have them going with Rome Odunes from Washington because he's the next best wide receiver in this class. So whoever plays quarterback for them shouldn't be Daniel Jones. He will be the number one.
Well, Jay said it best, ladies and gentlemen. First 3 straight quarterbacks. Now we have 3 straight wide receivers. Will the Titans change the pace? Lamont Thomas, where do they go?
With the 7th pick of the NFL draft, I have the Tennessee Titans selecting Joe Alt, offensive tackle, Notre Dame. 6'8", 320 pounds. I think that they need line help, right? They do lose Saffold, even though he's a guard. And with all the weapons that they're trying to obtain, they're going to need somebody to protect their quarterback. And I think that Joe Alt was a good pick there.
And there it is. Our first offensive lineman comes off the board with the selection of Joe Alt from Notre Dame. Now, James has to pick with the Atlanta Falcons. Who are the Falcons going with?
Well, pretty simple, folks. The Falcons need to fix the pass rush. It's been a problem since John Abraham retired from the team. And with the 8th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Atlanta Falcons select Laiatu Latu, pass rusher from UCLA. I know a lot of people believe this is an unpopular pick, but Latu is the most polished pass rusher in this year's class, amassing 23.5 sacks over the past 2 seasons at UCLA. Also know the medical is a huge issue for him, but if the doctors clear him medically, Latu is definitely that threat off the edge to fix the pass rush problem Atlanta desperately needs to get done.
The first defensive player has been selected with Latu from UCLA heading to the Falcons. Rob Johnson makes the second selection of the draft, this time for the Chicago Bears with the 9th pick.
For me, this is easy, guys. Dallas Turner, he's easily one of the best defensive players in this draft. He has a Michael Parsons-type speed with a better motor. Comes from Alabama under the Nick Saban tree. I believe this is a great pick for Chicago Bears. You already have Montez Sweat. So for me, ladies and gentlemen, this is an excellent pick for Chicago Bears.
Back-to-back defensive players are off the board as Dallas Turner joins Montez Sweat on that D-line in Chicago. The Jets are on the clock. Will Aaron Rodgers get a new weapon? Jay makes the selection.
Looked at what we still had left on the board and, to help Aaron in what is his 30th year of playing. I have them taking Brock Bowers, tight end from Georgia. Has a safety blanket to help him in that offense if he can take more than 5 snaps.
Great pick right there, Jay. I think that's the best pick for Aaron Rodgers at this point of his career. Now we are heading to the Minnesota Vikings as they are on the clock. Rob Johnson makes the pick.
45 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Bo Nix, he's one of the better quarterbacks in this draft. A lot of people have slept on this young man because of what happened at Auburn. Well, you go from Auburn all the way up to Oregon, and you do the things he does. He would have been in the national championship if it had not been for Michael Penix Jr. So 2 of those guys have been slept on a lot, and I believe that Bo Nix going to Minnesota in that air raid offense is going to be just absolutely unstoppable.
The Vikings have their Kirk Cousins replacement with the selection of quarterback Bo Nix from Oregon. Next, we have a team that could use a new quarterback of their own, the Denver Broncos. Let's see who Lamont thinks the Broncos are taking with their pick.
Yeah, with the 12th pick of the NFL draft, the Denver Broncos select Terrion Arnold, cornerback, Alabama. While the Denver Broncos do need a quarterback, I do believe that they're not in the position to be able to up to get a quarterback of their choosing in the first round. However, if they'd like to package this pick to be able to switch with the Vikings or the Cardinals, who have 2 picks in the first round, it may be of use for them. I do believe that Terrion Arnold will be a good pick here for the Broncos, even though Quinion Mitchell is considered to be the favorite in cornerback. I think that he has absurd redirection with his feet and his footwork, and I do believe that he has the hinge flexibility to be able to bring the Broncos some real good cornerback play. And also, I believe that he's a leader, and he brings leadership in the locker room, and that he could be a great pick for the Denver Broncos here.
In a little bit of shock, the Denver Broncos are going defense. Next, we're going to the Vegas Raiders, the Las Vegas Raiders. James, who will the Vegas Raiders be taking?
Sure, and if you're the Raiders at this point, the way the board's fallen, you're pretty much ecstatic. You're sprinting to the board. You're sprinting up to the podium to deliver the 13th pick, which is going to be J.J. McCarthy, quarterback from Michigan. Folks, Raiders need to find a quarterback. They moved on for Derek Carr. They drafted Aidan O'Connell last year. He showed some flashes, but they need somebody that can come in there, command the system, get Davante Adams the ball, and take this Raiders offense to the next level. They believe McCarthy could be that guy here with this pick.
Well, Davante Adams has a new quarterback in town, and J.J. McCarthy, who happened to win a national championship. Next, we're going to New Orleans, where Jay has to pick for the Saints.
Saints, have Derek Carr, and I feel they need to get some protection for him. So I have them taking Talise Fuaga, offensive tackle. I really feel that, they need to protect him, keep him upright. They have weapons. Maybe a wide receiver would be good here, Thomas from LSU, because Mike Thomas is broken somehow.
Our second lineman comes off the board, and Derek Carr has a little bit more protection in New Orleans. Off to Indianapolis we go. The Colts are on the clock. Lamonte, who is heading to Indiana?
Yeah, with the 15th pick of the NFL draft, the Indianapolis Colts select Chop Robinson, edge rusher from Penn State. I think that this guy has crazy energy. He's a 3-down defender, and he's somebody that can help the Colts. I mean, they're going to need their pass rushers to get home, and I think that Chop Robinson's a really good pick here.
There you have it, Chop Robinson. He's ready to be the next great Indianapolis Colt. The number 16 pick belongs to the Seattle Seahawks. Robb Johnson is ready to make the selection.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you look at a lot of schools out there, and Toledo is not one of the schools you will look at as having a player that will come out and have a direct impact in the first round. Well, Toledo is a really good school, and they are bringing out a guy named Quinyon Mitchell. This guy is a cornerback. He is quick to the ball. He makes good twitchy moves. He has really good speed, and he'll be able to lock down some of your better wide receivers out there in the NFC West. I believe there's a new era in Seattle when you have the head coach who's coming from Baltimore being the defensive coordinator. This is the perfect pick for a Seattle Seahawks team who has a really good offense but need to build the defense.
The Mike McDonald era in Seattle starts with Quinn Mitchell, who is the best defensive prospect in this entire NFL draft. Jacksonville is up, and their next goal is to replace Calvin Ridley. James, let us know what the decision is.
So, Ty, with that pick, the 17th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, I have the Jacksonville Jaguars going with Byron Murphy, defensive tackle from Texas. Pretty simple. The Jags want to look to continue to add to that defensive front they already have, and Murphy's a plug-and-play guy that they can have in alongside Josh Allen and Trayvon Walker to really help put pressure on opposing quarterbacks.
Byron Murphy and Josh Allen sounds like a dangerous combination in Jacksonville. The Bengals have the 18th pick, and Jay is ready to make the selection.
I've got the Bengals going with the trenches, and they're going to go defensively with Johnny Newton. They have not had dominant defensive tackle since Geno Atkins, and they definitely need that. They addressed the offensive side in free agency. They just need a little more penetration on the defensive side.
Well, the Bengals got a lot stronger on the D-line, and now, for the first time since 2016, the LA Rams have a first-round pick. Will they try to find a replacement for Aaron Donald? Lamont Thomas, what will the Rams be doing?
With the 19th pick of the NFL draft, the LA Rams select Jared Verse, edge, Florida State. There is no replacing Aaron Donald, but this guy can definitely bring you maybe another Hall of Fame caliber at the defensive line. He's a bolt of lightning off the snap, 6'3", 254 pounds. He can work on his hip flexibility a little bit, but he definitely has what it takes to be a great edge rusher in the NFL.
The LA Rams will be looking to add more sacks to the team with the selection of Jared Verse. Now we've reached the bottom selection of the first round, and the Steelers are on the clock. Robb Johnson, will the Steelers give Russell Wilson some protection?
They will, and this guy right here is very versatile. He is a center, but you can put him in other positions. Graham Barton, offensive tackle / center from Duke University. Barton is one of those players, like I said, is very versatile. You can do many different things with him, and he'll bring leadership to a team that is, if you look at it, they've brought in some really good free agents. You got Russell Wilson. You're going to get some more weapons here in this draft. They have weapons already on the team. You bring over Patrick Queen. This Steelers team is turning into a very dangerous team out there in the AFC North.
Well, there it is. The Steelers get their center of the future. And off we go to Miami with the Dolphins. James, who will the Dolphins be selecting?
With the 21st pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins select J.C. Latham, offensive tackle from Alabama. Pretty simple. The Dolphins need offensive line help protecting Tua Tagovailoa, whatever quarterback they may have back there in the future. Latham's pretty much a plug-and-play guy that they can start from day one and help shore up that right side of their offensive line.
Well, there it is. The Miami Dolphins are looking to protect their quarterback of the future and Tua for now. Off we go to the city of brotherly love with the Philadelphia Eagles. Jay, who will the Eagles be selecting?
I have the Eagles taking Cooper DeJean, corner. I really absolutely love the way this guy pops off tape. He is a ball hawk. I could see him potentially leading the league in interceptions now.
I think that'd be a great pick for the Philadelphia Eagles, a player that can play multiple positions. Now we're looking to go to Minnesota with the Minnesota Vikings. Lamont, who do the Vikings take with this pick?
With the 23rd pick of the NFL Draft, the Minnesota Vikings select Kool-Aid McKinstry, cornerback. I do believe that he's one of the longer corners in this draft. He has easy acceleration, explosiveness. He's going to be ready to give the Vikings a secondary presence that they much need.
Well, I hope Minnesota likes Kool-Aid, and if they do, the Vikings are probably a team that needs some Kool-Aid, some purple Kool-Aid at that. Now we have America's team on the clock.
Yeah.
Robb Johnson. Who will the Dallas Cowboys select?
Well, we went from purple to blue, but well, the guy who I'm about to talk about, he was dipped in purple last year as well. Well, let's talk about him. Many people thought that the Cowboys go offensive line here. I'm thinking that if you have this weapon and if he is still on the board, you take him because he's the best available player. I'm talking about Brian Thomas Jr., wide receiver out of LSU. You pair him with CeeDee Lamb. You got Brandon Cooks. You have Ferguson at tight end. I believe that you bring him in. The Cowboys, as I've told people before, they have some offensive line help. I took a look at their depth chart. They're not as bad as people are trying to say. They just got to get those contracts resolved. There's a lot of depth in this draft. And, ladies and gentlemen, if you go look at the free agents, there are a lot of good free agents left right now in the NFL. Just go, all you got to do is get on the old Google machine and check them out. But I think this is a great pick for the Dallas Cowboys. Gives Dak Prescott another weapon and less of an excuse of why he shouldn't win a playoff game.
Dak gets another weapon with Brian Thomas from LSU. Now we head to the land of the cheese. The Packers are on the clock. New weapons for Jordan Love? We shall see. James, what do the Packers do?
So with the 25th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, I have the Green Bay Packers selecting Amarius Mims, offensive tackle from Georgia. It's pretty simple, folks. The Packers have found the quarterback of the future in Jordan Love. Now it's time to add some protection around him. You have weapons on the outside, but you need to make sure he stays upright in the pocket to get the ball to him. Mims, your guy to get the job done.
After a great season last year, the Packers are making sure to keep Jordan Love healthy for years to come. Now we're heading with the next pick. We're going to Florida with the Bucs. Jay, what do the Tampa Bay Buccaneers do with this pick?
They need help everywhere, but I'm going with who I believe is still the best player on the board with Jackson Powers Johnson, one of the best interior linemen I've seen since probably Quentin Nelson. Absolutely.
And there it is, ladies and gentlemen. After a year of great success with Baker Mayfield, Tampa Bay Buccaneers are looking to add more protection for him for years to come as well. Now, for the second time in the first round, the Cardinals are back on the clock. Lamont Thomas has the pick.
With the 27th pick of the NFL draft, the Arizona Cardinals select Christian Hayes, offensive O-line for UConn. This guy's 6'2", 317 pounds. I think he has a lot of natural leverage and mass. And with Powers Johnson being off the board, this is the next best thing for the Arizona Cardinals.
Well, there it is, ladies and gentlemen. 3 straight offensive linemen are selected within this draft. Will the Buffalo Bills make it 4? Robb Johnson will have the answers for Bills Mafia.
Well, the Bills need receivers. Stephon Diggs has gone down to Houston, H-Town. Yeah. Troy Franklin out of Oregon is a really good receiver. He's got really good speed. He can catch screens. He does a lot of good things for did a lot of good things for Oregon. And of course, Bo Nix, who I had going earlier. Josh Allen's interceptions. Do you guys realize he's thrown double-digit interceptions 5 times in his NFL career? His numbers kind of dipped last year. I know of anybody else, they kind of been like, oh, get him out of here. But, Josh Allen's numbers dipped last year. He has to get back to being that Josh Allen, and I think that Troy Franklin will be able to help him, again, in a very deep wide receiver.
There it is. Buffalo Bills grabbed their Stephon Diggs replacement with Troy Franklin out of Oregon. Now the Detroit Lions are set to make their pick. James is ready to give us that pick right now.
And with the 29th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, I have the Detroit Lions selecting Troy Fontenot, offensive tackle from Washington. And with this pick, Detroit already has 2 great tackles in Decker and Sewell. I believe they kick him inside the guard where he can help keep Jared Goff upright, as well as paving holes up front for Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery.
Well, there it is. Penny has a new O-line partner with Troy Fontenot from Washington. Now we're heading to the Baltimore Ravens. They are on the clock, and Jay will be making the selection.
With the 30th pick, I have the Ravens going with Olu Fashanu, offensive lineman. I believe they're going to put him out at right tackle because that seems to be their only weakness on this line. And, 2-point conversion crap that Harbaugh does.
There it is. The Ravens grabbed their replacement for our very own Morgus Moses and gives Lamar a little bit more protection on the sides. Now Lamont Thomas will give his pick in the honor of selecting for the San Francisco 49ers.
With the 31st pick of the NFL Draft, the San Francisco 49ers select Kingsley Swamatea, offensive tackle, BYU. Now, this guy is 6'4", 325. He has superlative explosiveness off the line, and then he also creates great momentum after contact. I think he's going to be a great addition to this 49ers team who loves to run the ball and can also protect their quarterback.
Now we've reached the final pick of this draft with the defending champions, the Kansas City Chiefs. Robb Johnson has the pick. What will the pick be, Robb?
World champions.
So this wide receiver is from my rival, Florida State. Of course, everyone knows I'm a Miami Hurricanes fan, but we're all about professionalism here. So I have Keon Coleman, wide receiver from Florida State University. I think that he brings versatile, different things to the team. He has speed, he has the size, and it's just a weapon for Patrick Mahomes, who is your future GOAT, your future Hall of Famer. So what else can you ask for?
And there it is, ladies and gentlemen. We have reached our conclusion of the first round of our NFL mock draft. Now is the time that we will hear from our very own Russ Taliaferro and Larry Patterson of the Gametime Sports Network, who will be joined by one of our very own GMs to discuss their thoughts on this draft. And here we are. We have to my right Larry Patterson, Russ Taliaferro, and Lamont Thomas. Gentlemen, give me your overall thoughts of this draft.
I thought this draft was pretty good. It was pretty well constructed by the guys. A couple things I would change, but overall, I thought it was pretty good.
Russ?
Yeah, I got no complaints. The top 10 was very offensive heavy. And I think it's going to continue throughout the end of the first round too, as well, especially what we have going on. But I have no problem with what's going on so far. Of course, like Larry said, a couple things I might change myself, but overall, I have no big qualms with it.
Understood. LT?
I think that the GMs did a good job with need in terms of each team. We can debate about the order of picks and who the pick actually is. And, of course, trades are bound to happen. But I do think we did a good job of addressing each team's need in the draft.
So, LT, which pick impressed you the most within this draft?
I do think a couple of players that fell in this draft would be a blessing to some teams, right? Quinion Mitchell at 16 to the Seattle Seahawks would be a dream for them. So I think that's one pick that I'm impressed with.
Russ?
I think for the value where he fell, and I think it is a falling of sorts because I think he's top 10 talent. 22 for the Eagles at Cooper DeJean, I think is a beautiful pick for them, just to help lock down that secondary with how they've been fluctuating with C.J. Gardner-Johnson and James Bradbury, those guys coming in and out. Even if he eventually does move to safety, I think he's a great pick for their secondary for the next 10 years.
Larry, tell us what pick impressed you the most.
I was impressed with the Jazon Newton, the defensive tackle from Illinois, the pick to him. At 18 to the Bengals. He replaces DJ Reader, who went to the Lions in free agency. He joins the defensive tackle room with Sheldon Rankins, who was also acquired in free agency, and a B.J. Hill. And then you have Sam Hubbard and Trey Hendrickson on the other side as edge rushers. So Jazon Newton to add some interior pass rush to that defensive line to the Bengals, I think that was impressive.
And we had some good impressions there within that first round of the mock draft. But, Larry, are there any picks that surprised you?
The 16th, the Quinion Mitchell pick, 16th to the Seahawks, I thought that was a little surprising. I think he will go a little bit ahead, maybe 8th to the Falcons or a little bit after that. But that was a little bit surprising.
Understood. What about you, Russ?
It's not one pick in particular, I would say, but I think it's the amount of offensive linemen in particular that were picked in this first round. There's 10 of them total, which I think is the most ever in a first round of an NFL draft. But I think that speaks to our guys seeing the needs in the team, their actual true core needs, what they need. Especially when you got teams like, Tampa Bay picking a lineman, definitely Green Bay picking a tackle with Bakhtiari gone. I think our guys recognize what that team truly does need, and just the amount of offensive linemen gone was a little bit surprising for me.
History being made. LT, which pick surprised you the most?
Yeah, I'm right in line with Russ. I believe that with all the offensive linemen, you can argue of who needs to go where, and if those teams are going to commit to getting help on the offensive line. I think a pick like J.C. Latham, the 21st to the Dolphins, a good pick, but when you still have people on the board, such as a Jackson Powers-Johnson or even a Fashanu, those are picks that, they could choose to go with those guys over their guy on the board if they're still there.
You make some good points there, LT. Now, if you could change one thing within this draft, which would it be?
Again, we're not doing trades, but I definitely see someone drafting or trading up to pick that quarterback, right? I think 3 quarterbacks in whichever order will happen in the first 5. And I think that there's another team that's going to trade up possibly to get a J.J. McCarthy before he falls to somebody like 13th, to the Raiders. So I don't know who that will be, but I do think that that's going to happen.
What about you, Russ? What would you change?
I would change this Cardinals' second pick, where they have it in particular. Because like Lamonte said, we're doing this with everyone, of course, we're doing it without trades. I think they're in the perfect spot for their first pick to pick whatever wide receiver weapon they want. But I think, once you get down towards like picks 12, 13, and 14, you see names like Latham, Gerard Verse, Bowers, or Chop Robinson down there at like 12 or 13. With them having a second first-round pick and 3 third-round picks, I think they have the ammunition to possibly sneak up and grab someone else on the defensive side in particular. Because like I said, they have 11 picks, and only 7 of them, or only 4 actually, are theirs. The other 7, they got in trades. So this is a situation where you stock up those picks so you can move, what draft capital you have to get someone for the future. And I think they're in a good spot to do it. So I think they should pull the trigger.
Definitely. Larry, what changes would you make?
The Graham Barton pick to the Steelers. I feel like at center guard type that he plays, you can find something like that later on in the rounds. Somebody like Brian Thomas Jr., I feel like he can go a lot earlier than Dallas. We usually pick Dallas at 24. And the Steelers do need him. That is a big pick. I mean, look who you have in the wide receiver room. George Pickens is your starter, and then you have Calvin Austin, Quez Watkins, and Van Jefferson. So I think a receiver like him could definitely work well in that one.
Very good points made there, Larry. Now, Larry, what do you think, or who do you think rather, has the best chance at winning Offensive and Defensive Rookie of the Year this year?
Defensive, I'm going to go Dallas Turner and Jared Verse as far as edge rushers, and then I'm going to say Quinyon Mitchell and Terrion Arnold as far as cornerbacks on the defensive end. On the offensive end, Caleb Williams, I feel like is a good lock for it, especially with the weapons that he has. Jaden Daniels as well, and Roma Dunze. I'm going to take Roma Dunze.
Those are some good picks. What about you, Russ? What do you have in mind?
I think Caleb Williams or any of those top quarterbacks is probably an easy pick for an Offensive Rookie of the Year, but I want to favor Brock Bowers or really any of the wide receivers that the Chargers are going to pick, because they already have an elite level quarterback there who's going to be looking for weapons, especially with Keenan Allen leaving, Austin Eckler leaving. Justin Herbert's shown that he can spread the ball around pretty well, so I think any of those wide receivers that the Chargers may pick, I think has a very clear advantage for being Rookie of the Year, especially if it's like Marvin Harrison Jr. I think he's going to be just fit well into that system. Defensively, I want to favor Terrion Arnold, but I think it's going to be Dallas Turner again, just because I think he has the help of having Montez Sweat on the other side of that line in particular. But I can't rule out any of the other edge rushers that could go in that top 15 too.
Caleb Williams and Dallas Turner has been a common name. What about you, LT? What do you think?
I think on the offensive side of the ball, I think that, Brock Bowers has a chance, with all the weapons, to really make some noise, depending on where he goes. I think that also a guy like Keon Coleman, if he goes to the Kansas City Chiefs, I think it's a lot more dangerous than what people think, right? You put him with a powerhouse of an offense, a guy who takes up the middle like Travis Kelce, and, of course, Patrick Mahomes, right, will get him the ball. And he's one of the reasons why Florida State, had that perennial offense. So I think that a guy like Keon Coleman going to Kansas City is a huge deal, and I can definitely see him winning Rookie of the Year. I'm on the defensive side of the ball. I do believe that Jared Verse is definitely a guy who can make some noise. I think that a guy like Cooper DeJean, if he's in the right spot, he can definitely change scheming for a defense, right? And that could put him in place to, cause a lot of turnovers and also, be a sure-in for Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Definitely. Now, our NFL draft is approaching, so teams tend to make a lot of phone calls at this time to shuffle some chairs, so to say. Do you guys see any trades possibly happening? Start with you, LT.
Yeah, as I said before, I think that someone's going to trade up after 2 or 3 quarterbacks are taken. Typically, that's what we see, right? There's somebody who has on their big board somebody that they just will do everything to go get. I could see somebody like the Raiders coming up and getting their quarterback. I could see if the Vikings aren't happy with 11, them having 2 picks, I could see them coming up to get their quarterback. So I do think that we're liable to see something like that in the first round, and I wouldn't be surprised.
Russ, any trades you see happening?
I think we'd be crazy not to expect any trades at this point. We could see one, like you said, 1 or 2 quarterbacks go, and then the phones start ringing like crazy. But we could see, I think there's a possibility we could see maybe 2 quarterbacks picked within the first 4 picks, and I think that would set absolutely everything off. Because if you have a situation where New England, for some reason, cross your fingers, they're not that crazy to not pick a quarterback, especially if you fall to 4. Does Arizona trust Kyler Williams or Kyler Murray? Because at that point, you're being tempted by one of those top 3 draft picks, and after that, Los Angeles isn't taking the quarterback. So there's another place that falls. Then you get to the Giants, and you're like, we know they don't trust Daniel Jones, so they're picking a quarterback, and they're going to get calls off the wall too. So, I think what I've heard recently the most is that New England is one of the top 3 that's probably most willing to make a trade right now. So I think it just depends on what they get offered. And again, Cardinals have that draft capital too with 2 first-round picks where they could, if they don't trust Kyler, they could literally use both of those picks and in the 3rd this year to move up and get one of those 3 guys if they don't trust Kyler. So a lot of crazy stuff could happen.
Very good points. And we know as we get even closer to draft night, those trade possibilities tend to increase. Larry, any trades you see happening?
And like Russ said, it's a lot of teams that can do a lot of things, particularly after 5 with the Chargers, the Giants, Anywhere through 5 and 10, I feel like any of these teams could be able to make some type of move. One trade I did make in my mock was not Bo Nix, J.J. McCarthy going to Minnesota, but Minnesota trading up with Atlanta in particular. But I mean, it could be any one of those teams, and a lot of teams are looking for more draft capital. So I can definitely see a trade happening.
We can expect the unexpected on Thursday night of the NFL draft. We'd like to thank our draft analysts and draft experts as well for joining us. But before we leave, we'd like to take a special look at the LegacyMaker Sports Network sleepers in this year's draft.
This is Larry Patterson from the Gametime Sports Network. You can find me on Facebook and YouTube at Gametime Sports Network and on Instagram at Gametime365 Sports. My offensive sleeper is Xavier Leggett, wide receiver from South Carolina. Physical specimen, only 1 year of 1,200 yards, of 1 year production, but I think this is just the start for him. My defensive sleeper is TJ Tampa, cornerback out of Iowa State. Good press corner. I feel like he will work well in a zone scheme. So look out for TJ Tampa and Xavier Leggett.
What's going on, everybody? Lamont Thomas, LegacyMaker Sports here to give my 2024 sleepers for the NFL draft. On the offensive side, I got Jared Wiley, tight end, TCU. 6'6", 250 pounds. He has unusual coordination and speed for the size, and he's one of the best pass catchers in the nation. On the defensive side, I got Maris Leofau, linebacker, Notre Dame. This guy just has a really high motor. 5 sacks in 2023. He gets after it. He has an impressive first step, and I think that he's going to make a noise on a defensive unit.
Hi, I'm Jeremiah Quimby, LegacyMaker Sports Network. My sleepers, defensive, I'm going with Gabriel Murphy, edge, UCLA. I love what you see from him on tape. If you get him in a 3-4, you really can see somebody that's like a Max Crosby type of player. And for my offensive, I went with Anthony Gould, wide receiver, Oregon State. He's a bit small. You can see him as a slot receiver, but he is a track star.
What's going on, everybody? It's James Brown here with the LegacyMaker Sports Network, here to give you my sleepers for the 2024 NFL Draft. First up on the offensive side, I have Isaac Guerendo, running back from Louisville. Great prospect we have coming out here. I believe he'll be a mid-round pick. Running back that can kind of do it all for you here, ladies and gentlemen, whether it's running it, catching it out of the backfield, pass blocking. Guerendo's going to be your guy. Look for him to go anywhere from 3rd to the 4th round. Feel like he'll be a great pickup for somebody out there. On the defensive side of the ball, I like pass rusher Austin Booker, edge out of the University of Kansas. Again, this is another guy. He's a raw prospect, standing at 6'6", about 250 pounds. Again, raw prospect. He's only a redshirt sophomore. A guy who you'll definitely have to develop, but if he does hit for you, if you have that one coach that can kind of coach him up, get him ready for the next level, he's a guy that's easily 10-plus sacks for the next 5 to 10 years on your team. So those are my two, Guerendo from Louisville and Booker from Kansas.
What's up, y'all? It's Russ Taliaferro here to give you my own sleepers. My first sleeper on the offensive side is offensive guard Mason McCormick out of South Dakota State, 4-time All-American, 2-time FCS national champion, built rugged, tough, got good hands, hopefully be an eventual starter, good backup for somebody until he gets that chance. On the defensive side, I got Jalix Hunt, the edge out of Houston Christian University. Former safety is good on his feet. Somehow he converted from safety all the way down to edge, but he's good on his feet, has good hands, can drop back a little bit too as well from safety days in himself, so he knows, understands the defense that he can be put into in 2 different positions. So I believe both those guys can be a good sleeper late-round picks for guys.
Well, first I have an offensive tackle from Yale, Kieran Amadaji. He is a big guy. He has very fluid. He's from Yale, so of course he's smart. So he'll be able to come into any system. I believe that a team like the Denver Broncos would be able to bring him in and be able to use him well, because Sean Payton won't be able to talk down to him because, again, he's from Yale. All right, my next one, guys, is Willie Drew, cornerback out of Virginia State University. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Virginia State University, class of 13. Holla at me. Anyway, I saw Willie Drew play in, I believe it was November. It was October or November of 2017. I saw that man take 5 runs of like 70-plus yards against New Kent Trojans. They were called back, of course, because the refs were cheating. I've just got to be honest. I don't know what the refs were doing that night, but I saw that guy's speed, and I was like, this guy is going to be good. And he was highly, highly recruited out of Smithfield High School over in the 757. He went to JMU, and then he went down to Virginia State University. He has 5 interceptions last year as a corner. He's very fluid, very smooth. He has to work on a few things here and there, but I believe in the 6th round, he would be a great pick for either the Washington Commanders or he is being projected to the Dallas Cowboys, which I think that would be great, especially on special teams, and he can move into that nickel situation. Another person I want to talk about from Ithaca College out of New York State, Derek Sluga. This guy is a safety. He's huge. Trust me. I was sitting with Darrell, and as we were talking about LegacyMaker Sports Network things, the best network in the world, by the way, and I showed him Derek Sluga, and he's like, man, this guy is huge. I said, yeah, he's out of New York State D3, but I believe that he could go 5th to, I would say 5th to 7th round because he's going to be a value pick. You look at some of the teams out there that need secondary help. Again, the Dallas Cowboys, the Washington Commanders, pretty much everybody in the NFC East could use this safety. And like I said, he brings that versatility with the speed, with the size, and he has intelligence. And you know, a lot of good players come from the D2, D3 level. So do not sleep on this guy. Like I said before, you already have Willie Drew out of Virginia State University. Football is a very tough sport, and when you're playing defensive back, I think that the transition is a lot easier to the NFL, especially when you're hungry to get a spot. So look out for this young man out of Ithaca State.
What's up, LegacyMaker Sports Network? It's that time of year again, draft time, and it's time for me, Joey Raymond, to give you guys my sleeper picks of the 2024 NFL Draft. Offensively, I'm going with Tyrone Tracy Jr., a converted wide receiver with only a single season at running back. He played 4 seasons at Iowa as a wideout, only converting to a running back this past season at Purdue. I've gotten to see him play firsthand when the Boilermakers came to Blacksburg and beat the Hokies this season. He may have only had 4 carries, but he torched the Hokies for 51 yards and a touchdown. With limited experience, he still has exciting moments all over his tape. At 5'11", 209 pounds, he ran a 4.48 40 at the Combine. Tracy's an intelligent runner and seemingly creates gaps where there clearly isn't any. He creates additional yardage with a blend of elusiveness, power, and a willful desire to maximize each run. But he'll need to curb some of that eagerness and learn how to bounce to the outside when it's time to finish and move to the next snap. Either way, I think he is a player that a ton of people are underestimating. He has all the tools to play at the NFL level. It'll be interesting to see which team takes a chance on him. On the defensive side of the football, I'm going with Austin Booker. Austin Booker is a really interesting player, a 6'5", 240-pound edge rusher from the University of Kansas. His combination of length and movement give him a really high ceiling as a pass rusher. He has an ability to change direction and move quickly past offensive linemen and has the ability to become a high-level player in the NFL. He's got limited experience, which is a knock on him, only having played 1 full season. Now, during that full season, he was an extremely elite player for Kansas. While at Kansas, he achieved first-team All-Big 12 Conference, Big 12 Conference Defensive Newcomer of the Year, led the team with 12 tackles for loss and 8 sacks. Whatever team drafts him is going to need to be patient, but that patience could pay off in a big way.
Hello, everyone. Darrell Owens, LegacyMaker Sports Network. I hope you all have enjoyed our 2024 mock draft, our 7th annual, and I'm here to give my offensive and defensive sleepers. First, on the offensive side of the ball, I'm going with UVA receiver Malik Washington. Now, Washington is projected to be anywhere between a 3rd or a 4th round pick. If he goes high, I wouldn't be surprised. But when you look at Washington, he had 4 years at Northwestern before coming to UVA, but what an impressive season that he had at UVA. He was first-team All-ACC. He led college football with 110 receptions, and he was 4th with 1,426 yards. That's 13 yards per catch. He had 1,700 all-purpose yards, led the team with 9 receiving touchdowns, and played in all 12 games with 11 starts. Look, The guy gives me a lot of Dontavian Wicks vibes from last year. I picked Wicks last year. He did a really good job for Green Bay. I think if he goes to the right team, he can do some really good things for that team. And the guy just knows how to catch the football. And you got to remember, he had that many catches with a UVA team that only had 3 wins last year. So if he can do that with a 3-win team, just imagine what he could do in the right situation in the NFL. So my offensive sleeper is Malik Washington from UVA. And now for my defensive sleeper, I'm going with Kyrie Jackson, the cornerback for Oregon, for the Oregon Ducks. Look, 6'4", 194 pounds, and he's quick and he's lanky. And in this NFL where you need a cornerback that can cover a lot of ground and on top of that have the height to deal with these tall receivers, I believe Kyrie Jackson could be a really nice pick for someone 3rd round and beyond. It may be a little even in the 2nd round depending on what you like, but I like this guy. He runs a 4.5 40, and I think, that speed along with the way he can cover the field will really help out a team at the next level. Now, he was at Alabama for a couple of years. Things didn't work out the way he wanted to there. Before then, he was at community college, and then he decided to he got into Alabama, and then from Alabama, he entered the transfer portal. He goes to Oregon, and his first team all Pac-12 conference, 12 games, 34 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, 3 picks. And he is a guy that I really think that could really make some good things happen for a team at the next level. Any team that's dealing with a lot of big-name receivers, this is the guy you want to pick. So my sleepers, Malik Washington, UVA, and Kyrie Jackson, Oregon.
One last time, we'd like to thank our draft experts and analysts for their efforts today. And a special thanks to the Butler Boys Entertainment and Event Center. If you're looking for space for your next event, please check out this amazing facility. You can call 804-356-8453 to check for prices and availability. We'd like to thank all of you for joining us for our 7th annual LegacyMaker Sports Network NFL First Round Mock Draft. I'm Tyrone Montgomery Jr. See you all next year.